Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Moy Style podcast. So today's episode is about stop yelling at the umpire. Um, I have been getting a few social media, excuse me, a few videos on social media. A couple of the parents send it to me, and they see some of the coaches out there just getting in the umpires' faces and basically putting on a scene out there and saying I'm gonna kick your butt out there in the parking lot. Not necessarily those words, but a little bit worse. Um, and saying crazy stuff that I don't really think they realize how much they are affecting the not only the game but the players. Um, so the first thing that I do notice a lot, right? And by the way, you can see videos on stuff like this, especially at the youth level. You see it all over social media. I mean, it's like seems like a new video comes out every day, but about this topic. But the first thing where I feel like a lot of coaches go wrong is that they don't really even get the umpire's name. So they want to call the umpire Blue, Blue. Hey, Blue, how many outs we got? Hey, Blue, um, you know, what do we get there? Whatever, right? So like we always address them by the color of um, the uniform, right? Instead of taking the time to figure out what the name of the umpire is. I'm pretty bad with names, but I always ask them like multiple times sometimes because I know how bad I am about remembering names. But I want to be able to tell my catcher, and I'm not gonna lie, sometimes I do forget to tell my catcher to address them by their name. But we want to be able to address them by their name because nobody wants to be called blue or anything like that. Because to me, it's disrespectful. It's just that that's the way it's been done for a long time. So that's why I think a lot of umpires just kind of they don't say anything. But again, I don't really think um, I don't think it's respectful. And I feel like a lot of umpires, if you go up to them and you call them by their name, and I mean, I just feel like it's more professional and it shows more respect than calling them blue. So that's where right off the bat, I feel like a lot of coaches go wrong, right? So we don't realize that these guys are human beings, right? There's a grown man or ladies that are working out there, and they don't realize that, especially at the youth level, right? A lot of these coaches, excuse me, a lot of these umpires, they're not professional umpires, right? A lot of them, maybe this may be their full time job, but um, I don't really think a lot of them do this. It's a full time job, but a lot of them got full time jobs, and then this will be their side job, and they're trying to make some extra money. I'm not saying that it's okay to um, you know, to try to get every call wrong and not take pride in your job or anything like that. That's not what I'm saying. But you also got to realize that a lot of these umpires are gonna be working multiple games, right? Because they have, especially if they got bigger tournaments, they're gonna work longer. Sometimes they have tournaments where they start on Friday, they don't finish until late Sunday night, so they're exhausted. They're going through, they're having to work in the heat, or they may have to work in the cold, and so or kind of somewhere in the rain. So they're going through a lot, right? Again, I'm not saying that it's okay for them to mess up the calls, but I also do want to say that these guys are human beings and they're gonna mess up, and I don't think I think they get disrespected quite a bit. If you think about it, right? Like I sometimes I kind of take a peek at some of the games, t-ball, coach pitch, and we have some parents out there that can get real intense and they can get out of control behind the fence. When the umpires, a lot of times, they're kids that they may be high school kids that are just just trying to make a couple of extra bucks, maybe of freshmen in college, just basically young guys. A lot of them are young and they want to just scream at the umpire just because they might have missed a call, whatever, in t-ball or coach pitch or even kid pitch, and they want to take it like these are major league umpires, and they want to put on a scene out there. They forget about controlling themselves, and they just flat out just make a fool of themselves out there. I mean, it just let's be real, right? So I think if you really if you really want to try to have good umpires out there, first of all, you better try to help them out, because I know when I go up to an umpire and I ask him, "Hey, well, John, what did you get there?" I'm just giving an example, right? And they're like, "Well, I got this, I got that," and they may come up with some kind of, I don't know. They may make up something right away. I know they don't know the rule. And when that happens, if I just try to be more difficult and I just get on the guy's or girl's face, and I start cussing them out, I mean, is that really gonna change the call? So what I've done in the past, and honestly, I feel like I do this quite a bit. I'm not saying that I know every rule in the book, but I've played for a long time, and I know some of the rules, especially at the youth level, some of the safety rules, and some of the especially the balk rules, and all that stuff. Like uh, I know what's a balk and what's not a balk, right? I mean, maybe every now and then I may mess up, but I do sometimes I actually help them out. Not that I'm telling them, "Hey, you don't know anything, so I'm going to tell you what it is." It just sometimes I ask them, "Hey, how about we double check with the other umpires, or maybe I may tell them what I think it is, right?" And then a lot of times they'll come up to me and be like, "You know what, you're right. I messed up and I apologize." But guess what? It's still not gonna change they're not gonna change the call or anything like that. I mean, it's still gonna be that call. But if you feel like you know more than the umpire, then try to in a way help them out. Even though, again, I know that the umpires are supposed to know the rules and all that stuff, but remember, these guys, they're just trying to make some extra money. So maybe they don't take as much pride as, or they don't take it as serious. I don't know what the word would be, as just a full time job, because they know they're just trying to make some extra money. But I think it would be nice if you tell them, "Hey, it's a bug because he has to, let's say, disengage rubber, or whatever the case may be." I'm not gonna go the rules here. I'm just trying to kind of think off the top of my head some of the stuff that they miss. And like when I'm walking away, I know that the guy or the girl doesn't know that specific play. But again, I don't need to go out there and try to be a tough guy and just put in a scene, because what a lot of coaches and parents don't realize is that, well, first of all, they want to coaches and parents want to teach their 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 players or their kids to be respectful, respect the game, respect the umpires, respect the coaches, respect their teammates, and all that great stuff, right? But then we have the coaches that kind of just contradict themselves. I can't even say that word too well, but and they just do the opposite of what they're trying to teach the kids. They don't realize that it's not just you, just because you watch on TV and you see those major league umpires, excuse me, major league managers getting thrown out and getting in the guys' faces, and doing the putting on a scene out there and just throwing bases around, bats around, and gets the crowd going. They don't realize that, first of all, those guys are adults, and that they're playing at the highest level. Obviously, the demand at that level for the umpires is a whole lot higher, because they're considered the best of the best, right? And they still mess up, right? But here we got coaches at the youth level. They get out of control, and they tell the guy, "Hey, you suck, blue, and this and that. You don't know what you're talking about, blah blah blah," blah. And they start cussing the guy out. I've gotten videos from parents, just like where the guys are literally getting on their faces and try to bump in, try to almost punch the guy and saying that, "Yeah, I'll meet you in the parking lot." Like it just gets out of control. I get it that you get frustrated, because I don't want to get a bad call either, right? But I mean, I don't really think the solution is that, because all you're teaching your players that you're not, basically the opposite of how to handle a tough situation, right? When you don't agree with the call. When I've had calls where I don't agree with it, but I don't go out there. By the way, I've been thrown out of the game one time. Am I proud of it? Not really. But I learned my lesson, because I just felt like an idiot after I did that. I was like, you know what? I'll never do that again, because I'm not really teaching my players anything. So what I think we need to do, and I'm not saying that I'm perfect, I got it all figured out, I know every word that needs to be said to the umpire, but I think we need to teach our kids how to address, first of all, how to address umpires, and second, how to address tough situations, right? We're basically teaching our kids that if they don't get it, if we don't get it our way, we got to go out there and just do crazy stuff, like cuss the guy out, and scream and throw bats and helmets and blah blah blah, and kick the buckets and all the stuff. It just doesn't make any sense to me. Like when for instance, I had a call that we didn't agree with last weekend, last tournament when we played, right, with my one of my teams, and yeah, I was a little bit frustrated, but if somebody got me on video, you never saw me yelling at the guy or anything like that. I even asked for extra help. I even brought the tournament director because I knew the umpires didn't really know the rule necessarily. But I knew if I put on a scene out there, it's definitely not going to change anything. It's gonna frustrate the umpires more, and then you're gonna disrespect those guys. But even though we didn't get our call after the tournament director came out and all that stuff and talked to them, I know the umpires probably knew they probably felt embarrassed that they just they were afraid to say that they were wrong, right? But in my head, I'm thinking if I scream at these guys, am I really teaching my players how to handle this type of situation? So yeah, I talk to them and all this stuff, but there's ways to do it in a professional way. I mean, we can't be. I think sometimes coaches end up they become kind of hypocrite, and they say, they don't want the kids to be throwing helmets, to be cussing out people, but then they're doing the opposite. So I don't think that's okay. So if you really want to have good umpires out there, first of all, try to take care of them and appreciate the fact that they're out there, because it's hard sometimes to find umpires. And I know a lot of parents are going to be like, well, but we pay a lot of money for this tournament. Yeah, you're right. But again, these umpires, they're human beings, and they're going to mess up. And sometimes coaches exaggerate, like, that's not even close, and it was a bang, bang play. You're awful, and blah, blah, blah. I just, to me, it's not right. And we're not, again, it goes back to teaching the kids what to do and like what the right way it is to approach an umpire and how to talk to an umpire, because as they get older, when they start to just get out of control and like unconsciously they're doing this stuff that they thought it was okay because they see their coaches do it, and and so they start doing it, and then there's no stopping from there, and now they're kicking out of the game. And now with social media, they're gonna be all over the social media, embarrassed and all this stuff. So again, hopefully hopefully it doesn't. I'm able to help a few coaches out there, because I know some of the coaches out there won't agree with me, and that's okay. And if you want to put on the comment below, you can. I'm all open to to talk about it and kind of give you my point of view, which I kind of am right now. But what I'm trying to say is that we gotta be able to build a foundation for these kids and really teach them how to respect the game at a young age, because you want them to know nothing but the right thing to do, things on the field, obviously on and off the field, because at the end of the day, we're not just teaching them just about the game, but also how to handle themselves outside the game. It's not just, yelling at the umpires, but we're teaching kids how to be aggressive, and everything needs to be fixed with fist fight and cussing at each other and all that stuff. So again, I hope that this can help out a lot of some coaches out there. And if you have any questions, I'm all for it. I'm sure I missed a few things out there, but again, hopefully this can help out some parents and coaches out there. If you guys are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and remember, keep it Moy Style.
Hey guys, Moy Style Baseball here. If you're interested in having me come out to your city for a fielding camp or a hitting camp, or if you're in the Oklahoma area and you're looking for private lessons or group lessons, you can shoot me a text at 251-509-3815. You can also email me at moystyle33@gmail.com. Keep it Moy Style.